Welcome to the Spirit of a Badass, where we celebrate stories of courage, hope, and resiliency. I'm your host, Alecia Jacobson.
Hello, badasses. Welcome to today's episode. I'm happy that you are here. I'm happy to be here. Before we get started today, I want to share something with you because I'm super excited about it. And it is a brownie that I made in a cup. I am about to get my period in like a week. And this time of my life, I crave food. I love food anyway. I just love eating. I love thinking about eating. I love people making me food. And I don't really like making it myself, but I just really, really love food. And this phase in my cycle, I am hungry and food is a lot of my energy in my brain thinking about what will I eat next. But I'm also craving a little bit of sugar, some chocolate. And I got these Ghirardelli brownie mix things at Costco. So there was like 5 in this ginormous box, 5 like individually packaged, like make a pan of brownies. And I have made them. I'm down to 1. And I have made them and they're gone in like 30 damn seconds, which fine. I'm happy that they're gone. But I truly do not need to be eating a pan of brownies right now. And I know that I would eat a pan of brownies. And yesterday I remembered that I used to make these muffin in a cups. My stepmom used to make them, and it's like all these different ingredients, and you put it in this cup and it makes a muffin. Great. Those are very healthy. Not the state of mind I'm in right now, not what I'm looking for. So I'm like, I wonder if I can take some of this brownie mix it with an egg, and put it in the microwave. Well, hot damn, I did. So I want to share with you what I did. I took a half cup of this Ghirardelli, and you can probably use whatever brownie mix. Put it in. Now, this is like a bigger kind of mug that sometimes I eat like soup in or cereal. And then I put 1 egg, and then I didn't measure, it was maybe like a teaspoon. I just put a little drop of oil in this cup, and then I microwaved it for about 90 seconds. Oh my goodness. It was like filling for one. I got my sweet craving, like sweet thing. A half cup of it was a little under a half cup. I think it was like 130 calories or 140 calories. So, and then you have the egg and a little bit of oil. Anyway, probably like under 250. Yeah, probably under 250 calories. It was really delicious. It was really delicious. And I just want you to know how delicious it was, and that you can just make these mixes and put an egg in and then microwave it. I'm sure there's healthier versions, which I usually am like, let me hack this and make it healthier. I really had no desire to do that, or to buy the ingredients of whatever healthy version with cottage cheese and whatever had in it. I just went straight up. It was so good. My stomach is now full. I just had it. I had it after I had my grilled chicken. So I feel like it was a nice balance. Because if you remember on the last podcast, my goal is to eat more protein. And I think I'm at like 80 grams of protein, and I'm just at lunch. So I'm winning. And let me just go there quick too, only because of the time of year we're in. And I work with people in habits all the time. But when you're doing these habits, I was looking at my tracker. I think I told you in the last episode, if you listened. If you didn't, go back and listen, because it was a really good episode on what I'm doing with habits and starting the new year, things like that. I looked back at my tracker, and for the first week and a half, I probably had 1 or 2 days that I closed the circle. Now, 3 weeks into it, the circle's closed all the time. So release the judgment on yourself when you're doing it, because there's so much learning that happens inside when you're starting something new. There's so much learning in that new habit. For instance, if you have tried to work out in the morning, or you thought I can do it at lunchtime, or a woman in the coaching circle a couple weeks ago thought she was going to work out at, I don't even remember, I think it was early in the morning. And she was, or maybe it was right after drop off. I think that's what it was. Right after drop off, she was going to work out. And we met the following week, and she's like, yeah, that did not work. But a lot of times people take that as a failure on their part when really it absolutely means nothing. It means you did something, you tried something, and in your life, it didn't actually work. So then it's okay. Where would this work better? How can I tweak things to make it fit? So if you're starting out something new, whatever it is, and it doesn't look how you want it to look or it doesn't quite fit, whatever that is, don't take it as a personal failure. It's just information on you need to do something differently. That's all. All right. So today I want to talk about decisions and what happens when you're making a decision, what happens when you don't make the decision, because that happens a lot where you have something that you need to decide between this or that, and you delay it for whatever reason. So that's what we're going to get into today. One of the things that comes up a lot is people think that there is the right way, and then by default, then there is a wrong way, and they don't want to make the wrong decision. And depending, there's little decisions and big decisions, and you've probably heard of decision fatigue when you have to make so many decisions and then you're just like, your brain is like mush. You don't want to make any more decisions, which that is not what I'm talking about today. Not the idea of, I just don't want to make decisions. This is the sort of paralysis that comes with having to make a decision and then feeling stuck and just standing still because you don't want to have to move forward, because moving forward means you must decide and then go in that direction. And what's in that direction, you don't know oftentimes, because if you're not making the decision, generally there's an element of unknowingness to it, which can be scary. So then we just do nothing. I was driving the other day and I was thinking about a couple of my clients who are making some, pretty big life decisions, and how being right with the decision causes stress. They want to make sure they make the right decision. Whatever way you go, even if it doesn't turn out how maybe you thought it would turn out, I feel like you're supposed to be in that direction. So perhaps it, by making a decision to the left, you end up meeting someone or having a conversation that takes you down a completely different road. And even though maybe in hindsight, it looks like, well, maybe the other decision would have been better, it still brings you information. It brings you life lessons. There's so much opportunity in whatever it was that you chose. And I think sometimes that gets overlooked. Either way, there is opportunity. Either way, there's lessons to be learned. Either way, you are furthering yourself. But the indecision in that space where you're just kind of at the fork in the road and not doing anything, oh my gosh, that is so stressful. That is lack of sleep. That is overeating. That is undereating. That is overexercising. That is being completely frozen and not doing anything at all. That's numbing out. There's so much negativity and just that comes with not making the decision. And there's so much freedom that is attached to making the decision, whatever it is. And you can probably reflect back and look at the times where you've been stressing and stressing and stressing. I'm thinking of one woman who was trying to figure out if she was going to quit her job or not. And when she finally did, we did all these sessions around, the timeline of quitting and how to quit. All of these things went into it. What comes next? And when she finally did, she was like, I wish I would have done that a lot sooner. I wish I wouldn't have delayed it and prolonged it and caused so much additional stress by him and hawing and, just like frozen in that indecision state. And that is often way more stress than just deciding, way more stress. A couple of questions that you can ask yourself, because these are the themes that I see pop up when people are hesitant in making a decision. And a lot of it comes down to questioning themselves, trusting themselves, and their ability to make the quote unquote right decision. And for that, usually I say, like, what do you know for sure? Because you have made decisions. This isn't like the first decision of your lifetime. you have done so many things, and you can trust yourself to make this decision. You can trust that whatever it is that you decide, you will figure it out. You will figure out the resources, you will figure out the people, whatever it is that you need in that next new life space, you will figure it out. Just like you're figuring this out, just like you can reflect back and figure everything else out. So, what do you know for sure about yourself, about your competency, what you've done in the past, what you know you can do in the future? Because you're diminishing your own competence in this situation, and you have done it in every other situation, whether you actually think you have or you haven't. And this comes into my next one is, what messages are keeping you stuck? And this is one that I have come across a lot recently, is that the decisions that people are not making are because they have messages that they have been given from somebody else. Just yesterday, I was working with somebody who works in healthcare, and she needed to go forward and make a decision. And when I asked, what are the messages that you have? Like, what is the story you're telling yourself about why you're not going forward in this decision? And she said, well, we are told over and over and over again that the patient has more value essentially than we do. And I mean, as a person that is in, as a patient on that side, I am thankful that my provider gives a shit about me. However, if I have a provider that's burnt the fuck out and not taking care of themselves, their care is going to be worse off for me than if I have one who is well taken care of by themselves. But in this industry, it is hammered home to them that they come before you. And when she was telling me this, I was like, oh, this is kind of like motherhood, that everything else needs to come before you. You no longer matter, and you now need to be selfless. And I suppose not even just motherhood. This is, I feel like women in general have this sort of selfless. Oh, you hear things like, oh, she always put everybody else above her. She always took care of everybody. She'd give you the shirt, I guess maybe for men more, like give you the shirt off their back. All of those things, I actually don't think they're compliments. I think it is a picture of a person who has not taken care and tended to their own needs. They were probably bitter, exhausted, and miserable. And if you are creating a group of people who feel that way, because you're going to get burnt out. And that's why usually women, once they get to like mid 40s, they're like, what the fuck? What am I doing? Who am I? And where did I go? Because you have lost yourself in the midst of everybody else. That was one of the reasons why she wasn't making, because she had this messaging of your patients, they are more important than you. So if you take, time away, it's taking time away from them essentially. And this shouldn't be done. And this was repeated year after year after year after year, and in all of her education. And so now when she's, needing to make a decision, she has this little voice in the back of her head of, well, shit, this means that I am not a good practitioner. There is meaning behind that then. And how you attach to that meaning is very important. I've had people that other people have around them kind of undermine their knowing, whether they're being criticized or nitpicking or whatever it is. If that is done repeatedly, now this can go back when they were children, they were constantly either told what to do, or when they made decisions, it was always questioned or they were wrong or something like that, where that has become their inner voice. And generally speaking, if you grew up with that, you might find people in your world, a partner, whatever it is, that mimics that same behavior. And then where the fuck are you? You feel like you can't make decisions. So looking at the messaging around you, do you surround yourself with people who just kind of undermine your authority, undermine your inner knowing, question you? And this can be anything from coworkers to family of origin. On the internet, people can just question you. And if you let that take root in your mind, you're going to naturally start to question anything from small things to big things. I mean, I've seen everything from the smallest decisions, like about food, ordering food or making food or decorating, anything, to big, big, big life decisions. And the messaging that you have been given by those around you might unknowingly be driving you deeper into that stuckness because you're worried. You're thinking about, well, this means this, or what if I don't know? Whatever it may be. So when you're making these decisions, thinking, are there any thoughts that you're thinking that are attached to this? What meaning is underlying why you're not making this decision? What's keeping you stuck? And there's a really neat exercise that I have sent many of my clients. I found this guy on TikTok. I couldn't even tell you what I just not Google because it's on TikTok, but like search for sacral recalibration, I believe. And I think I talked about it on here before. But it's essentially this guy just asking like rapid fire questions. Did you eat breakfast today? Are you sitting down? And you're just supposed to answer yes or no. And that helps you tap into that kind of just snap, fast, quick answers. You're knowing. And if you do that exercise repeatedly, that can be really helpful when making decisions because wherever your knowing comes from, usually I have people, it's like head, heart, or gut, also called sometimes the intuition, but it can be clouded over, muddy, murky, confusing. And if you do these rapid fire kind of recalibrations, it can be really helpful to have your knowing take root again and tap into, where do I feel this when I'm answering? What do you feel when you're posed with simple questions? Are you able to make a decision? Or is it like you him and haw, kind of wring your fingers a little bit, wring your hands and try to figure out how to do it right, how to make it right? By doing that recalibration, you are able to tap into that inner knowing and get better at making decisions. You can also, if this is more of like a big life issue, you can do some simple practice exercises. The grocery store is a great place. Do you want paper or plastic? Restaurants. Do you want dessert? Do you just get really comfortable, seek out opportunities to be able to make decisions quickly. And it's kind of like that gut recalibration, but you're practicing out in the world. So that is kind of my very simplistic overview on how to go about getting yourself unstuck and get some forward momentum on these decisions when you're at the fork in the road and you've been there for way too fucking long and it's time. And if you are there, if this is a place where you maybe spend a lot of time, make the fucking decision. Because if there's anything I know for sure, because the kind of nuances of how you get here, that's all different. But if there's anything that I 100% know for sure, it's that you are more uncomfortable. You're experiencing more stress, more discomfort, more of everything kind of negative, anxiety, not sleeping at night. You're probably like all constipated by not making the decision. And you will feel lighter and so much better once you actually make the decision. So go forth. And I'm getting hot now. Go forth and make your decisions and do it with confidence and know that you fucking know. You will figure it out. You will absolutely figure it fucking out. Okay? All right. If you like this episode, if you love this podcast, I would really love it if you subscribe to it, give a review. You can give a written review or you can give a star review, 5 stars, obviously. And I would just really appreciate that because that is how we grow this podcast. Oh, real quick. The bingo is on January 22nd. That will be via Zoom. And I would love it if you joined 2025 bingo. I will put the link in the show notes. All right. Have a fabulous day. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next time.
Spirit of a Badass is a Lit Path Studios podcast and is produced by Jamie Gale and Alecia Jacobson. Music by Shane Ivers. We'll be back with another inspiring interview. Until then, keep your spirits high and your energy badass.